Hello and welcome. I am your host Claire, and in this episode I wanted to read you a Substack essay that I have written. It's my first post on Substack, and I wanted to read the essay out loud for my podcast as well. The essay is titled PMS is a Feminist Issue. So I know I talk a lot about the personal side of PMS or PMDD and the healing that goes into that, and the personal inner kind of healing journey, becoming who you truly are kind of stuff. You know, all of that, I talk a lot about that, but actually there are some really big, deeper societal undercurrents, and fundamentally at the core of my kind of philosophy of all this work is that reclaiming your menstrual cycle and, you know, really looking at your PMS and PMDD in this kind of less pathologizing way is a radical act of feminism. Like it's a massive, you know, FU to the patriarchy. So that's kind of where this essay came from. So yeah, I'm really excited to share it. Okay, so PMS is a feminist issue. How the patriarchy gaslights women into ignoring their premenstrual truth. As I've gone on my healing journey with PMDD and gained a different, less pathologizing perspective on my menstrual cycle, I've come to see that PMS is in fact a feminist issue. Let's face it, the menstrual cycle is a wildly taboo topic. Look at the comments on any Instagram post talking about it and you'll see things like, ew, gross, or you really shouldn't be talking about that in public. It's something to be kept behind closed doors. Even amongst women, have you ever noticed the awkward shift that happens when someone mentions their period out loud in public and especially in front of men? It's like a known fact of life that we aren't allowed to acknowledge publicly. So when it comes to even having a conversation about PMS on PMDD, it's going against that patriarchal norm to keep the menstrual cycle hush-hush. Then on top of that, of course, you have the mad woman trope. No one likes a mad woman. The patriarchy loves a quiet, docile, soft, well-behaved woman. Everything we are not in our luteal phase. Women who express strong emotions, particularly anger or dissatisfaction, are often labelled as irrational or hysterical, even when those emotions are entirely valid and appropriate. Hysteria, a so-called disorder characterised by emotional instability in women, was only removed as an official diagnosis from the DSM-5 in 1980. Before that, women exhibiting symptoms of PMDD could have been locked up in asylums. Many were. And even today, medical misogyny persists. How often are we dismissed with a casual, it's probably just anxiety, when seeking help for hormonal or mental health concerns? Historically, powerful women have been met with the same suspicion. Anti-suffragists in the 19th and 20th century argued that women shouldn't vote because they were too emotional to make rational decisions. In the 1970s, US President Gerald Ford suggested that a female president would be dangerous due to her menstrual cycle, saying, "I don't think women should be president because once a month she'd have these days." Margaret Thatcher faced similar scrutiny over her supposed emotional nature when running for office. Similarly, Hillary Clinton endured relentless sexist commentary, with critics suggesting she was too bossy, too shrill, too emotional. All the meanwhile, male leaders displaying the same traits, assertiveness, ambition, decisiveness, are seen as strong and authoritative. A man is a boss, but a woman is bossy. The problem isn't that women are more emotional, it's that we're punished for the emotions that men are being praised for. And here's where the premenstrual phase becomes really radical. A premenstrual woman is a threat to the status quo because she sees through the bullshit. She questions, she calls things out, she refuses to tolerate what she normally lets slide. And because we haven't been taught how to harness this power, we often experience it as suffering instead. The real problem isn't that the premenstrual phase makes us overly sensitive, it's that we haven't been given the tools to work with our premenstrual truth serum. Because if we actually knew how to channel that power, we'd be utterly unstoppable. A low tolerance for bullshit. Have you ever noticed how when you're premenstrual, things that wouldn't usually bother you absolutely make your blood boil? The hormonal shifts that occur really change something within us. That, my friend, is the premenstrual truth serum. That rage and that anger is highlighting all the crap you normally put up with because you've been socialised as a woman and conditioned to be the sacrificial caretaker at all costs, including your own well-being, and saying, yeah, we're done with this. Now, of course, there's some nuance to this for two reasons. One, it's often not about the seemingly trivial thing you blew up over, but it is pointing to something deeper. PSA. This applies to most arguments in relationships as well. And number two, sometimes the thing the rage is pointing to is a projection, something unhealed within yourself that is being highlighted to you through another person. Our premenstrual phase is a potent time for highlighting shadows and wounds within ourselves that we need resolving, as well as unmet needs and desires. Now, I do want to acknowledge that many people with PMDD struggle with extreme thoughts during their luteal phase, including suicidal ideation. Obviously, I am not saying that you should off yourself because that's your premenstrual truth serum speaking. I'm also not saying that if you feel like you have to dump your boyfriend every month, that is what you should do. What I am saying is that as someone who has absolutely been there, is that there is a reason you feel that way. It's not because you're broken and it's not because you are crazy. There is a part of you that is highlighting something really, really important that needs attention. It just doesn't always have the best solution. In other words, it's saying, this is shit, I don't want to do this anymore, but it just can't see any other way out. So yes, even extreme PMDD symptoms like that are still a signal that something needs to change, whether that's trauma resolution or external circumstances. But that's not the point of this particular post. But if you are curious, I'd totally recommend listening to some other episodes of my podcast. The point of this particular post is to show that PMS is a feminist issue, not just a personal one. So with that premenstrual truth serum, what I'm saying is that we are painfully aware of the misogyny, both institutionalised, at home, and even within ourselves. We see it in the weaponised incompetence. We see it in how much emotional labour we're expected to do for those around us. We see how our boundaries aren't always respected and taken seriously. We see how we aren't taken as seriously as our male counterparts. And if you are a member of any other marginalised community, the oppression you experience as a result of that will also become painfully clear. And that isn't a bad thing. It's shining a light on that. Unless, of course, you are one of the people who seek to uphold the structures that oppress us. When we're premenstrual, our tolerance for bullshit is at an all-time low, including the patriarchal bullshit that most of us deal with on the daily. So yes, PMS is a feminist issue. So where do we go from here? Am I saying that every luteal phase you need to take on the world's issues and single-handedly undo 10,000 years of patriarchy? No, obviously not. What I am saying is that you need to tend to your own garden. Look at your relationship to your menstrual cycle. Look at how you talk to yourself about your PMS or PMDD. Learn how to work with your cycle rather than against it. Learn to speak the language of your premenstrual symptoms so that you can understand them and reclaim your premenstrual power, as well as getting relief from the intensity of your symptoms. When you do, you are a dangerous woman in the eyes of the patriarchy. Remember that next time you go to call yourself crazy. If you have enjoyed this episode, I want to invite you to download the Premenstrual Survival Pack. It's free and it's a 38-page PDF with lots and lots of resources to help you get relief from the suffering that you might be experiencing right now from your premenstrual symptoms, and really help you tap into that premenstrual power that I am talking about. So thank you so much for listening and being here. I would love to hear your thoughts on this. This is quite a potent topic. So yeah, let me know what you think and what your thoughts, and contribute your kind of piece to the conversation. I would love to hear it.